Hi, everyone. So I just want to make a quick video about how the globalists attacked us. Just one snippet of it, because when they attack us again, they're going to use the same format, I assume, because this one was so successful. So the more aware we are about it, just to look out for it. So the Royalty House, thank you very much. She suggested I look into the nudge team that Stammer is very much a part of, and so I did. And he has this interview here where he brags about how he influenced the society to lock down and take and wear masks and take the death shots, which he still to this day, this interview is from only a year ago. What's the date on it? January 2024. He was still pushing the vaccines. He was very proud of himself. He had a little acronym, EAST, EAST. I mean, make it easy to get the people to do what you want, and A, make it attractive, and S, social, get their social group to pressure them. So they knew that their messaging was best to come from your like family and people around you. And then the T for East was timely, which meant they knew that people live by habit, right? People have their habitual ways of living. And it's hard to break. So what they do first, the globalists with this guy, Halpern, they come in and they disrupt your life somehow, right? So of course with COVID, they disrupted it with a fear campaign to make everybody think they're going to die, they're going to die. And then they said, then they nudged you to lock down, to wear a mask, and to get the death shots, right? So this is how they operate, right? It's, basically it's order out of chaos, which is the satanic, Masonic order of things. But he's being hailed as this great psychologist now for him and his nudge team. So look out the next time there's a disruption, because there's been theories that, okay, they're going to try doing a power outage, or they're going to do a banking crisis and close the banks, or they'll do something, right? They want a crisis. So look out the next time there's a quote unquote disruption, because that's when this guy and his pals are going to come in and say, here, do this, here, lock down, here, wear a mask, or whatever they're going to try to get you to do. Now, it was early on, people wondered why didn't other psychologists speak out, but they did. And I got this from Dr. David Hughes' book, COVID-19 Psychological Operation in the War for Technocracy or Globalism. And this group of psychologists were against it. This came out in June 2024 about the dubious ethics of covert psychological nudges. So they were saying at the time that the members of this heart group, Dr. Gary Sidley, along with 46 other psychologists and therapists, wrote a letter to the British Psychological Association, the British Psychological Society, BPS, expressing concerns about the ethics of employing covert psychological nudges as a means of gaining the public's compliance with COVID-19 restrictions. So all of these psychiatrists, PhDs, got together and they said, we see what you're doing, stop it. But they continued on with it. The government, Stammer, was behind it to manipulate people. And so they did speak out and they were ignored. As it says here on the top, the British Psychological Society has yet to respond. They never respond. They just ignored the other PhD psychologists and doctors. So one of the psychologists who wrote that letter wrote a good piece here describing how analyzing the language of fear that had been peddled throughout the pandemic. And this came out in March 2021. And so he just broke it down how BIT, Behavioral Insight Team, aka the Nudge group there, first came about in 2010, and then they went on and manipulated people and turning them against each other, shaming people and scapegoating in order to apply pressure to people to comply with lockdowns and masks and death shots. So again, this is something to look out for. They will create a disruption, and then they'll say they nudge the citizens, nudging citizens in new ways of acting by disruption, the timing of it. So several interventions in the COVID-19 messaging included fear by inflating perceived threat levels, shame, conflating compliance with virtue, and peer pressure, portraying non-compliers as a deviant minority. So this was all done by all of this people attacking each other, not inviting their family home for the holidays because they weren't taking the death shot. All this divisiveness and stress and people getting fired and shamed and harassed all thanks to the covert psychological manipulations of this nudge group that Dr. David Halpern is the head of, as many others under him. Now, one of the fears that they used, they conflated the number of deaths and the threat of people dying. They claim that millions are going to die with faulty statistics that were paid for by Bill Gates, by the way. And they say all these people are dying in the hospital. They show clips of people in the hospital with a mask on. Well, it turns out what's come out since, and for example, in this book, what the nurses saw, what's turned out to happen is they would frighten people into wearing masks. And they knew that wearing a mask, you fill up with carbon dioxide because you're breathing your exhale. So therefore, your oxygen levels will lower. And so what did they do during COVID? They told everybody, keep checking your oxygen levels. And if they get too low, go to the hospital, right? So if you're wearing a mask all day, you've got carbon dioxide and you're breathing it in, your oxygen is going to lower as it is. And if you get a cold or something on top of that, yeah. So it's and then they bring you to the hospital. And what this book explains, and I'm sure you've heard in many other places, is that they would put you, you were put on Fauci's protocol, which was remdesivir or Veklury, and it would put breathing apparatus on you that would force oxygen into you and basically destroy your lungs and kill you. And they put you on ventilators, claiming that they needed to do that because the doctors and nurses didn't want to be exposed to the COVID, so they want to put you right away on a ventilator when they know that 95% of people on ventilators die. Now, the man who wrote this book, Ken McCarthy, he went to high school with Fauci, and he was so disgusted by what Fauci was doing, he could see right through it. He interviewed these nurses, top nurses, and published this book and exposed it all. And you can see here on Flashlight's Productions Substack, he's interviewed about this book and how it came to be put together and what happened. And of course, they go through how the nurses were witnessing mass murder in the hospitals due to these protocols. So just to sum it all together, you've got the globalists attacking us via the mainstream media, social media, putting fear of, and then coming up with fake numbers for how many people are going to die, and people are dying. I mean, I don't know how many times I've heard somebody say, well, the vaccine saved millions. Didn't save anyone. And they could just put lies out there constantly and people just going with it, and they were turning people against each other. And this is all from the nudge. And even though other psychologists and experts could see what they were doing, they were ignored, censored, deplatformed. And then they inflated and murdered people in the hospitals with the protocols. And there's been absolutely no accountability for any of this. So you see people were just, and they knew the hypochondriacs, people who were going to be hypochondriacs to begin with, were going to run to the hospital if they got a sniffle. And they would, boom, if you get a positive test, and those tests, of course, as we know, those PCR tests are fake and phony. You can't diagnose anything. And yet they're still using it, the bird flu and other things. So this whole thing is a giant scam, and it continues. They haven't pulled back the mRNA injections. They haven't pulled back the PCR, and they haven't stopped with the nudging. So bottom line is, this is how we've been attacked by the globalists. And this is how the formula that they'll do it again. If people aren't aware of, whatever the next fear is, then they're going to come out and tell people what to do. And you've got to be aware not to do it. Whatever this nudge unit. And of course, they're going to try to put the messaging out in a way that sounds like it comes from your friends and your social group. So naturally, they're going to have infiltrators in the alternate space, the freedom. That's why in the freedom medical group, the alternate medical group out there, there's going to be plants in there, that are going to be pushing the messaging of the nudgers. So you got to be really careful who you listen to. But this is the formula, and they're going to mass murder us again. So look out. None of them have been held accountable, and it doesn't look like they will be anytime in the near future. So the best you can do is just look out for the next disruption for his EAST formula, and be aware not to listen, not to fall for it again, because it worked a little too well the first time. So I hope you found this interesting. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.